Hello and welcome to another training video for Enlite POS powered by Dark. Today we're still looking at the invoicing screen and we're going to be focusing on two features, specifically the Garment Search and the Modifiers pop-up window. So in order to reach the invoicing screen, we're going to go to Customer Walk-in, enter my PIN, and we're going to look for our customer. We're going to press New Invoice, and here we are on the invoicing screen. So in this video, we're going to be looking at two specific features of the invoicing screen. If you have not seen our video on the basics of the invoicing screen, please go back and watch that, as we're not going to be covering a lot of the buttons that appear on this screen. Take a look at that video first and come back here so you can see how these work together. Okay, the first feature that we're going to be looking at is the garment search. So you may have noticed that this screen, depending on your resolution, but generally it fits about 9 buttons per column. And then the same thing happens when you've got your individual items inside of a category. We can fit about 9, and when we go through your price list and we do your setup, we do our best to fit everything so that you never have to scroll, so that all the items are right there for your employees to see. Here we can see that if I use the down arrows, I can scroll through the different items in our list. So this category contains more than 9 items. This is not ideal, but it's not always possible to get around the limitation of having more than 9 items inside of a category. It just depends how your pricing structure is set up. So we've seen customers, for example, that charge for rugs, and they do it by specific measurements of the rug, and we've seen that they have inside the rug category up to 60 different options depending on the different measurements that apply for the rugs. So once you get into those numbers, it's almost impossible to lay it out in a way that all the buttons will fit on the screen at once. So to manage this situation, what we've got is this search modal up here. So if I wanted to add an item through the search, instead of going through the categories, I can come right up here and I can select my category, or I can just search for it. So I'm going to search pants. And then these are all the different pants that are set up in the system. So I can search for the specific one that I need. I can do pants, and then it'll add it here to the list. You can of course see the service type over here, and then the different jobs or the specific items over here on this category. So there are all our pants. Here are all the tailoring that we can do to our pants. So this is a much faster way of adding something from the price list. So as you can see, the controls are fairly simple for doing this. I can search inside of a specific category. Here are all my categories that are configured in the system. I can enter my search criteria here. If I was using a tablet, the keyboard would pop up, and then I could hit the search button here, or I could hit enter on the keyboard that pops up to return my results. And then over here, I can add a manual item. So if I need to add something manually, this is the same way as pressing the manual item that we looked at in the invoicing screen fundamentals video. I can add my manual item, hit OK, and it'll add it to the order. The other thing that you can do from this screen is set up a modifiers button. So this is different than the way it looked in the invoicing fundamentals video. There we just had one button that said upcharges, and it would retrieve the upcharges for a specific category. So if I had shirt selected and I hit the upcharges button, over here it would show all the different upcharges configured for that category. This one's a little bit different. If I click the modifiers button, it's going to pop up a window very similar to the one that we just saw when we were searching for items. This is just for modifiers, and the most typical use case for this is for when you're managing a very large amount of upcharges or modifiers in general. So for example, we have some customers that manage over 4,000 designers. Clearly, it's not possible to put 4,000 buttons on the screen at once, and even if we could in some way, it wouldn't be very useful to an employee to have to look through 4,000 buttons. So we enable this modifiers modal, and it lets you search by category the same way we had done before. I can search by color, damage, designer, or I can just enter my search criteria in the search. So if I was looking for a specific designer, let's say Fila, I can find Fila. If I delete it, return all my results, we can see that if we change to designers, there are a lot of designers to choose from. And then I can enter them, or I can add them to the invoice just by clicking the green plus button. So let's take this one, and we'll say that dress shirt is from 7 for All Mankind. It gets added over here. just as if we had done it with the buttons as we did in the previous video. If I can't find my designer, say I'm looking for a new designer, someone came into the store and dropped off a garment from a designer that we don't have in our system yet. That's not a problem. I can add it manually. So I can hit this button. I can specify that this is going to be a designer. Note that I can add it to other categories as well, like I can add a new damage, or I can add a different kind of upcharge under extra. Let's add a designer. Let's say that our designer is Dark POS. I press add, and it adds it to the item, and then also it's going to add it to the designer list. So if I come back into the list here, there's our Dark POS designer that we just added. So if you're managing a very large price list, or you're managing a complex upcharge structure or a lot of modifiers, this method of searching for either the items or the modifiers themselves is going to save you and your employees a lot of time. If this is something that you need configured, just let your support team know and they'll be happy to configure this for you. And that's all we're going to look at in this video. I hope all of it made sense. I hope you learned something new. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your support team. That's going to be all for today from everyone here at Dark. Thank you for your time and your attention, and thank you for your business. See you on the next video.